Good day, everybody. You're welcome to my video. This is a series of videos I have produced on forest inventory. So in this particular video, I'll be talking to us about forest camping principles that guide setting up of forest camps from where we can take off to do our forest assessment. My name again is Shedrack Olufemi Akindele, a professor of forest biometrics and inventory at the Department of Forestry and Wood Technology in the Federal University of Technology, Akure, Nigeria. It's my pleasure to bring to you this video, and will implore you to check other videos I have on my channel if you have not done so. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, I will encourage you to do so that you can get notification on new videos that I release from time to time. So let's get going. Forest camping principles. Now, to examine forest camping principles, I want us to consider, why do we need forest camps? Why are forest camps necessary in inventory work? The major reason why we need to set up or to have forest camps in inventory work is because of the nature of the field exercise itself. Forest inventory is a very tedious exercise, involving going out into the forest, cutting through to establish sample plots, and then enumerating all the trees in the sample plots and moving from sample plot to sample plot, from tree to tree. It's a very tedious exercise. It's also very time consuming. It takes time. The time you spend to enumerate a plot, depending on the variables you are actually measuring there, it's can take you a lot of time, really. And also depending on the number of people you have to do the assessment. Also, forest inventory exercise is very expensive. It requires spending a lot of money on the crew, on the equipment, on transportation, logistics, on every aspect. So it's a very, very expensive exercise. So it is such that if we don't have forest camps near the location of our plots, we'll be spending so much time commuting from place to place, and we'll have very little time left on the field for the actual work. So the nature of forest inventory exercise is the major reason why we need to set up forest camps for our inventory exercise. What are the things to be considered in order to set up forest camps? When we want to set up forest camps, that is the base from where the crew will take off each morning to go into the forest to enumerate the plots. What are the things to be considered in setting up such camps? And I'll start with this. The first thing you have to consider is whether an existing camp is present at your location where you want to do the work. Is there an existing forest camps? Because in various reserves, it's possible to have some camps. There are old forest camps. There are quarters built for forest workers. In those days, some of those quarters are still in operation. So if you have an existing forest camp, that is something to consider. Or whether such a camp is not in existence, you need to consider that. So if the answer is yes, that is, if there is an existing forest camp at your location, then you take this decision, make use of it, use that camp. But if there is no existing forest camp that you can use where you want to conduct your inventory, then set up a temporary forest camp. So those are the two possibilities. Either there is an existing camp, in which case you use it, or there is no existing camp, in which case you set up a temporary one. So I have examples here in the pictures I've displayed on the screen of existing forest camps. There are two pictures right there at the top there. They on the left and on the right are pictures I took at Ngeyaki Mountain Forest Camp. So that's in Taraba State of Nigeria. The mountain forest there has a forest camp already established, and you can see those buildings. So these are buildings where your crew can stay in when you are there to conduct inventory work in that particular forest reserve. So that's an example of an existing forest camp. The one on the lower right here is a picture I took at Okomu National Park in Edo State, Nigeria also. Now, at Okomu National Park, you have also an existing camp, forest camp, where your crew can stay when you are there to conduct inventory exercise. So these are examples of locations where we have existing forest camps. So when you want to conduct inventory in any of such areas, you already know that there is camping facilities already available, and you just move in there after making necessary arrangements. Now, the other alternative is what I have here on the screen. So the top pictures there represent the tents. So this is just an example of tents that you can set up. It's temporary structure. It's not a permanent structure there. You want to conduct inventory, you realize that the whole place, there is no forest camp around you. So you get a good portion of the area and you set up your tents for the inventory work. And the pictures below shows the interior of the tents. As you can see, some of the campers have their stuff there, and the camp beds where they stay, they're all there. So this is an example of a temporary forest camp where you set up for the crew to stay, and as soon as you finish the work, the whole camp is put down, and you move out with everything you brought in. So what are the guiding principles for setting up a camp? Now, here we are talking of a temporary forest camp. That is, in a situation where there is no existing forest camp, you want to set up one temporarily just for your use for the period of your exercise. What are the principles to guide you? The first one here is proximity to the forest where the field work is to be done. The camp you want to set up must be close to the area of your plots, of your sample plots, so that you will minimize the time you spend in getting to the plots each morning you get up to go and work. There was a situation whereby a particular forest inventory work was not properly planned. In other words, no camping facility exists in the forest area, and the closest community where the team stayed to the place where they are to work requires 4 hours of commuting because of the nature of the road. Very, very bad road. I mean, you can cover a distance of just 20 kilometers, will take you over an hour to cover it. So in such a situation of very bad road, you have this particular team having to spend 4 hours on the road before they get to the forest. Now, by the time they get there, of course, they will be tired. They want to rest for a few minutes, and then they start the work. And forest inventory work is a tedious work, like I've told you. You'll be on your feet virtually all through. No chairs there to sit. You are moving from one tree to the other, so you are not sitting down. You are just on the move or standing all through. So it's very tedious. Now, when you have done that work and the team remembers that they will still need 4 hours commute to get back to their base, how many hours will there be available will be available for them to work? So that is the reason why proximity to the forest is very, very important. In fact, that's the first consideration when you are thinking of setting up a forest camp. In the 4 hour case, you can imagine, even if you set out as early as 7 a.m. in the morning, meaning that the team would have been awake by 6, you have eaten, you have done everything. By 7, you set out. 4 hours will take you up to 11 a.m. before you get to the field. And if you get to the field at 11 a.m. and you start work immediately, and remembering that you need 4 hours to get back, how many hours are you going to spend on the field to work? Maybe you work from 11 to 3 p.m. That gives you a maximum of 4 hours. So if you leave the field by 3 p.m., you'll not return to base until 7 p.m., by which time it's already getting dark. So the team in that case will have only 4 hours per day of effective work. I mean, that's grossly inefficient, grossly inefficient. So in order to avoid such, you have to set up a camp very close to where you will do the work. If your camp is close enough such that within 30 minutes you're already in your plot, then if you set out to the field by 7, by 7:30 you're already in your plot starting to work. And because you know you have just 30 minutes to get back to camp, you can continue your work on the field even till 5 p.m., 6 p.m. And by 6:30, you are back in the camp. So that in that case, you have more hours to spend on the field, and that means the work will be completed quicker than if you had stayed far away. And so it will be less expensive at the end of the day, because if you are paying the crew per day on daily basis, they will spend less number of days if the camp is right close to the location of the sample plots. So that's the first thing. I spent some time on that because it's very, very important, very, very crucial. The second point to consider is accessibility. Your camp must be accessible. What do I mean by this? I'm talking in terms of transportation, because to set up camp, you need to move in materials and men. You need to move in camp beds, you need to move in tents, you need to move in barrels of, for water, that's water containers, you need to move in lots of stuff. So if the place is not accessible, and the nearest place to the place is maybe 1 kilometer away, and people have to now carry load on their head and trek that distance in order to get to the camp, I mean, that's not really good enough. So the location of the camp must be accessible such that whatever truck is bringing all the camp materials can get there and then offload all those materials, and you can set up your camp easily. So guiding principle number 2, the sites of the camp must be accessible. Number 3, the terrain must not be waterlogged. In other words, it should be a well-drained area. Where you will set the camp up should be well-drained. It shouldn't be a waterlogged area. And one of the reasons for that is that by the time you are setting up your tent, you realize that you need to peg the tent to the ground firmly, very firmly, so that wind and so on will not blow it away. Now, in order to achieve that, the ground must be solid, well drained. If the ground is waterlogged, it will be so soft, it won't be able to hold your pegs, and then you can't put your uh, tents there effectively. Same thing, even camp beds. If the place is waterlogged and you put your camp beds there and you try to sit on it or lie on it, it will just sink, because the area is waterlogged. So you have to avoid waterlogged area. Make sure the area is well drained. That's the third point you need to consider when you want to set up a camp. Now, the fourth one is absence of dead standing trees or trees with dead branches. So in other words, when you get to the location that you are considering as a possible campsite, you have to look around you. Be sure that there are no standing dead trees there. Just look around everywhere Also be sure there are no trees around with dead branches. The reason for this is that wind do blow. And when wind blows at night, for example, when everybody is sleeping or even at daytime, any of the dead branches can fall off. Any of the dead standing tree can be uprooted by wind. And God forbid that it falls on your tent with people sleeping already on their camp beds inside the tent. That's very dangerous. So for that reason, you ensure that there should be no dead standing tree and no tree with dead branches in the place where you are setting up your tents. Next is proximity to water source or adequate arrangement made for water supply. Now, because the team will need water, each time they go out to the field to work on daily basis, they will sweat a lot. And so when they come back after the day's work, they just want to have their bath. They need water. You also need water to cook your food in the camp and so on. So for this reason, you must be sure that there is your campsite is close to source of water supply, which could be a river, a flowing river, or a stream, or maybe there are municipal facilities such that there is borehole there, or tap water, or well, just source of water. And if any of this is not available at the site, then you must make adequate arrangement for water supply. I remember during our forest resource study, there are some campsites we actually set up where there was no source of water supply around at all. But then what we had to do was we had big, container for water, big water tanks, rubber water tanks that we were carrying along with us. I think 1,000-liter capacity, two of them in each team. So we'll set this up and then we will arrange from the closest community for a water tanker to come and fill this with water. And so from time to time, once the water level is getting low, we bring in the tanker again to supply water. So there must be adequate arrangement made for such water supply in cases where your camp is not located close to source of water. The sixth point is that the place must be free. The location of your camp must be free from human and animal hostility. This is a very, very important thing because the safety of the crew is very, very important. If the place is having a hostile population, then they can invade your camp at night and just destroy the camp, even kill people or wound people and so on and so forth. So you have to ensure that where you are locating your camp, your camp is not a hostile environment. Also be sure that there are no record of animal hostility. Because if you actually find out from the forestry officials there in the area or even the local communities, they will be able to tell you their experience that it's okay. If the place is prone to animal invasion, animal attack, then you don't want to set up your camp there. You don't want to risk people's lives or people being attacked by wild animals and so on. No, you want to avoid that. So the area must be free from human and animal hostility. The seventh point is proximity to health facilities in case of emergencies. The location of your camp should be close to where health facilities are. It may not be state hospital, general hospital, tertiary hospital, no. It may even be primary health caregiver, just such that if your camp is accessible, of course, in your camp, you have first aid box that contains basic medication that will be required by the team. But in case of something beyond first aid, then, of course, you should be able to access health facility in nearby community. So that is very, very important. So when you are setting up your camp, you should ask yourself, where is the closest health facility to this place? So you should actually go and take a look. Be sure that yes, it exists and it is functional. And then you can set up your camp knowing that if there is emergency, there's a place you can rush to. Finally, we also need to evaluate existing infrastructural facilities in order to make adequate arrangement for what is lacking. So the place, you have to assess it. Okay, is there electricity in this area where I want to set up my camp? Okay, if there is no electricity, if electricity supply is lacking, what arrangement can I make? Okay, I will need to bring in generator. Okay, what type of generator? Where will I get it from? Because generator, you need generator as source of power supply if there is no electricity there, so that you can have light to charge your phones, to charge your laptops, to charge your data gadgets, and other electronic devices, and also to provide light at night in the camp, because at night in the camp definitely you need you need light for review your review meetings. When you are reviewing the day's activities at night, you need lights there. You need light to check your data, the data the field crew have entered and submitted for the day. You need electricity. So if there is no existing power supply, public power supply, you need to make local arrangement for generator. Also, you need to check, is there a mobile network? Can I make a phone call from that place? Which network is good in that area? So because the various network providers have areas of strength and weaknesses. So check which one is okay there, so that and sometimes right at the location of the camp itself, you may not really have signal, but there may be a part of the campsite or forest area where, yes, there is network in this area. You have to locate such an area, note it, so that when you want to make calls, you know where to go to, where you can receive signal, and then you'll be able to make your calls. That's very, very important. You need to look at the facilities there, just say what and what and what will be required when you want to live here, say for 1 week, for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, that the field work will last. You have to make sure everything is in adequate supply. So these are the guiding principles I want to bring to our attention. If you have not subscribed to my channel, I will encourage you to subscribe and watch out for related videos on my YouTube channel. I also encourage you to make your comments. If there are questions or comments, just you can make them right below the video, or more appropriately, just send me an email at the following address: soakindele@futa.edu.ng. So you can send me an email to ask your question or provide comments. I will appreciate that. Thank you very much. You see me in my next video. Bye.